And thanks for thinking with you guys. Kevin?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have 5 amendments. The first one, under S, item 2-1, to add surplus faucet at the fairground building. Under item H, number 3, add wording regarding search and rescue group. Under, this is how amended as they came in, under S, mail call, a thank you card. Adding an executive session right after commission. Contract 1-25-2, part 3. And then under Q, number 2, add lateral transfer of Keith Jatan from maintenance to highway.
Move to approve.
As amended.
Motion by Mark, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Consent agenda. Move to approve. Motion by Mike, second by Craig. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Any conflict of interest today, commissioners? Seeing none.
Yes, I do. Hold on, remember, is it number 1 under, planning?
We'll go with the public hearing. Oh, wait a second. I think it's wrong.
I can filibuster for 90 seconds.
You can filibuster for 1 minute.
Okay.
We can beat on Jason a little.
It appears Jason has not screwed anything up. I didn't want to ask any public comment on that. I dared to dream it. This public hearing this morning will be about a resolution that we've talked about before, which is about initiating the formation process of a proposed East Custer County ambulance district. And to reiterate kind of some of the facts about it, this is for a number of years now, Rapid City has actually been covering East Custer County with respect to its ambulance, and that is not a permanent solution, obviously. They've been very generous in doing that. And so the idea here was to have the East Custer County voters decide if they would like to have an ambulance district in their area. That would also, that area would also include Hermosa and Fairburn. So far, Hermosa and Fairburn have both signed resolutions saying that they would join in being part of the election with respect to forming the district. So again, what we're doing here today, as far as, and I'll read the resolution in a minute in full, is to essentially, if the resolution passes today, that does not mean that the district is formed. It simply means that the question of whether a East Custer ambulance district will be formed, which would include Hermosa and Fairburn, will be put on the ballot for the upcoming primary election, so that the voters in that area can determine if they'd like to have it. That said, I will start by reading the resolution, then we'll open it up to public comment. This is resolution number 2026-08. Resolution initiating the formation process for a proposed East Custer County ambulance district pursuant to SDCL Chapter 34-11A. Whereas SDCL Chapter 34-11A authorizes the establishment of ambulance districts for the purpose of providing emergency medical and ambulance services. And whereas the Custer County Commission finds that it is in the public interest to consider the formation of an ambulance district in East Custer County to ensure the continued availability, sustainability, and quality of ambulance and emergency medical services within the proposed territory. And whereas SDCL Section 34-11A-1 permits the County Commission to initiate the formation of an ambulance district by resolution. And whereas the County Commission desires to commence the statutory process required for the consideration of such a district, including public notice, public hearing, determination of boundaries, and submission of the question to the voters as required by law. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Custer County Commission as follows. 1. Initiation of formation process. The County Commission hereby initiates the statutory process for the formation of a proposed ambulance district pursuant to SDCL Chapter 34-11A. 2. Proposed territory. The proposed ambulance district shall consist of the following territory, subject to final determination after public hearing. All of the parcels in T2S R8E, T2S R9E, T2S R10E, T2S R11E, T2S R12E, T3S R6E, T3S R8E, T3S R9E, T3S R10E, T3S R11E, T3S R12E, T4S R6E, T4S R7E, T4S R8E, T4S R9E, T4S R10E, T4S R11E, T5S R10E, Section 1-30 of T5S R6E, Section 1-30 of T5S R7E, Section 1-30 of T5S R8E, Section 1-30 of T5S R90, all Section 22-26, and Section 33-36, and East 2 of Section 32, and Section 27, less parcels 003912 and 003913 of T2S R7E. All of T3S R7E, less Section 6 and Keystone Ambulance District parcels 000808, 003932, 003933, 014479, 01535, excuse me, yes, 015353, and 015354 of Section 5, all containing 601.7 square miles, more or less, approximately 385,112 acres, including all of the towns of Hermosa and Fairburn, all located in the county of Custer, South Dakota. 3, public hearing. The county auditor is directed to provide notice and schedule a public hearing on the proposed ambulance district in accordance with SDCL Chapter 34-11A for the purpose of receiving public comment regarding the necessity of the proposed district, the proposed boundaries, and any other matters relevant to the formation of the district. 4, order of determination and election. Following the public hearing, and if the county commission determines that formation of the proposed ambulance district is advisable and lawful, the commission shall enter an order of determination and proceed with calling an election on the question of forming the East Custer Ambulance District as required by law. 5, no creation by resolution alone. This resolution does not itself create an ambulance district, levy taxes, or impose assessments, but solely initiates the statutory process leading to a potential election by the voters within the proposed district. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. Hearing is open for public comment.
Leo?
My name is Leo Van Sandbeek, and I've been working through Hermosa Connects to facilitate the creation of this district. And I certainly encourage you to pass this resolution, because without it, we can't move forward. I think there was an explanation of the necessity, because we want to ensure that we have ambulance service in the eastern part of the district and be able to compensate Rapid City or anyone else that responds to an RFP put out after the request or after the formation of the district. In terms of what, we heard square miles and acres, we're looking at approximately 1,500 parcels of land, which excluding ag and non-ag bare land from this. So about 1,500 parcels of land that would have a tax assessment of one form or another applied to fund this. We do not currently have a budget that we would propose at this time, because that's up to a board of directors that will be elected after the primary election if the district is indeed approved. But we have obviously studied the issue of the taxation from such an ambulance district, and in all likelihood, but speaking only for myself, it would probably be a tax assessment. In other words, a fixed amount against parcels of land that, such as owner-occupied houses or non-ag property that has rental housing on it, or commercial property. Anyone that has the potential of really calling an ambulance to that parcel of land. We would probably use the tax assessment form rather than the mill levy option. Those would be the two options for funding the district. As I say, the support by the community seems to be overwhelming. A good gauge of that is the people that I thought would really be against this are really for it, which scares me maybe. Because, but I think, you know, the end election, I fully anticipate that this will have resounding. And so I encourage you to pass the resolution.
Leo, what's the process of electing the board? You'll have an election, how's that going?
Okay, I'm not 100% sure, you know, because I haven't worked with the auditor or whatever. The state law says that the people that would be interested in being directors cannot start passing petitions until after the election to form the district, which is somewhat unfortunate because it would be nice if you could actually, before the election, say who the directors might be. Well, I guess you can say who they might be, but you can't say who's actually running because they can't technically pass the petitions before that. But the commission, I assume, would then, subsequent to June 2nd, have to, what's the word I want, organize, mandate, appoint an election board, and then conduct a special election within Eastern Custer County to elect those directors. And then those directors, once they're elected, would create the bylaws and look at tax requests and that sort of thing. So it's a process that's going to be very fast and rigorous because the tax request will have to be in by September 30th. And you can't even pass your nominating petition until June 3rd. And so you have to have that election in there and then get that tax request. Using an example from Davidson County over by Mitchell, Davidson and one other county, they got together and said, okay, we've worked with the Mitchell ambulance service, the town of Mitchell, which is kind of parallel to like the Rapid City situation. They know what they want, so the tax request could be as simple as, well, it's going to cost us this much, this is what we need. And we know, and in fact, they had not even calculated beforehand what the assessment was on individual properties. They knew what their aggregate amount that they needed was, and that's what they gave their county commissioners. And then after that, figured out how the assessment was going to work. Prior to, I'll say January 1, when tax assessment notices actually went out. But the number one thing is another election, which as far as I read, but hopefully, you know, I can get some better opinion, has to be an election run by the county. It can't be as simple as show of hands at a public meeting or even an election where you have volunteer poll workers in grandma's kitchen taking it. It has to be a true formal election. Now, who's going to pay for that? We don't have any money. No, don't use that as an excuse not to pass the resolution. Good, great. Any other questions?
Travis.
I do. So, Aaron, this would be more of an Aaron and Tracy question. So, to say that, could you not, as you mentioned, appoint the people that were interested in filling them seats, whether it's a 3-man, 5, 7-man board, whatever the board is going to be? Why could there not be applications filled out, put in front of you guys, and then pick the very first board to get to the next election cycle? That doesn't work at all that way. To fill them seats on a brand new,
No, state law requires the election.
no matter what.
Yeah.
You just can't appoint the first one to get to that.
Even if there's 5 seats open, there's only 5 applicants, you still have to have an election. It could be pretty much running uncontested.
You're running uncontested. You're gonna have, that I have to look. You don't
Which-
have more.
That would be an ideal situation. for us.
Right, but right, exactly, because then you wouldn't have to have the election, you would just appoint the 5 that filled out their petitions.
If you don't have more than the number of seats, I have to look, because it may just be, they automatically take that.
That would be a fair whim, but
Okay, I just thought if you could just appoint the seats the first time around. Okay,
Which raises an interesting point in that, does this resolution, should it say how many directors there'll be? I'm rolling around in my mind, when is that decision made and who makes it?
and that'd be kind of under state law, population or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Dictate.
Look at
It just says a minimum and a maximum is all I
They
know.
have to be staggered.
That would add stagger.
Staggering. I have to look at it. I don't know if it does by population or, I know it says a minimum and a maximum, but. I don't
Good
know.
question.
Yeah, that's a
Give us
good
time
question.
to figure them out.
But I guess, yeah, that could probably be decided between June 2nd and whenever that election. How many would be.
I'm pretty sure we'll have an answer before June 2nd.
It'd be nice if you-
Position's been pushing pretty hard to get this done.
Right, yeah, absolutely, and it could be that, maybe at your next meeting, you could, if possible, pass a motion or whatever, that it'd be 5, or,
And I don't know if it's set by
6
them
or
or if it's set by
It
the
may be part
bylaws.
of the voters.
Yeah, I just have to look at it, because I don't know. I haven't looked at
I don't know.
I don't think there's any
Good question.
guidance in there.
it.
in your best opinion, Leo, what do you think? You've worked hard on it. How
I
many would you
would,
like to see?
I would personally go with probably 5. Just because there seems to be 5 general areas
Correct.
within the eastern Custer County. And more than 5 seems like more than you need. I'd like an odd number, and 3 doesn't seem like a number. That's my rationale.
So then, when you say, obviously, knowing the area too, the 5 regions you're looking at, are you looking to try to bring one out of each region, stipulate that in your
I would
bylaws
not.
or not?
I would not stipulate it, but I would encourage
Encourage.
someone to run from each of those.
Right. Sure.
I think that they're large positions.
Right, I think it'd be all at large. Yeah.
Thank you, Lou.
Thanks for your hard work, Leo.
Oh, thanks, Lou.
Yeah.
If there's no more questions,
You
I'm
put a
gonna
lot of
make a
time in
motion to approve the resolution.
Okay, motion by Mark, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
Thanks, Tom.
We've moved the public comment section of the meeting towards the beginning of our meeting so that people don't have to sit through a boring commission meeting just to get a seat on the floor.
So do we get donuts first or last?
We were trying to figure out that spot.
I mean, that's normally your donut break, Jim.
So, we're not gonna skip the door.
All right.
So, we'll take this time to, for anyone that has something to bring forward, we can't act upon it, but we will listen to any concerns that anyone might have. Anyone forward, yeah.
Most of you may know me, and I'm Becky Truer. Remember me from last summer? I came and asked to change the times of the meetings later in the day so that working people in Custer County could come to those meetings. I do appreciate that they're now online, but it still doesn't help the fact that I have to take time off of work to come here. Okay, I'm starting to think that you don't want people to come and make public comments and bring their concerns to your attention. I want to make it known that anything I say here today are my own thoughts and opinions, and I'm not coerced in any way or any form to be here on my own time. There are laws and county policies against retaliation. Commissioners, I come to you today with a few concerns. One of these concerns is unprofessionalism I saw in a social media post. A little background for those that do not know what I'm referencing. The original post was of a citizen sharing someone's page that is running for one of the commissioner positions in this upcoming election. I understand that two of you were posting information to help the public make sure they have correct information, and I acknowledge that. But the part that I'm concerned with, but that's not the part that I'm concerned with. The part that is my concern is your response, Commissioner Busco, to my comment. I feel like you commented on my post because of who I'm reading to. My post reads, I think it is time for some new faces, ideas, personalities for the county commissioners. I don't know this lady, but I know there are some good candidates running, and we definitely need term limits. Out with the old. Which to Commissioner Bosco replied, that would be great. There's one long-serving commissioner retiring this time, and there's one other long-serving commissioner on the board, and in 2 years he is up and has been there since I was in high school. Sometimes those old guys get set in their ways and won't change things up, especially with departments, could make some difference. And then proceeds to call them good old boys.
I
And
actually
that
said that I was not part of the good old boys.
Right, you called them the good old boys. Correct?
Right.
Okay. And that they don't ask questions when things need to be questions. In my opinion, calling out fellow commissioners in a public social media post is very unprofessional. Even though you think it is the truth, as you say, maybe you should talk to the people that you're referring to, especially since they're sitting on either side of you today. Do the commissioners have their own code of conduct, or do you follow the county's employee handbook? Because if you do, that is a direct violation of the handbook. Policy 1, number 1.4, harassment, section 3. All employees are expected to conduct themselves in a professional business-like manner at all times. In the commissioner handbook and the state ethical principles, the county commissioners should maintain a respectful attitude towards employees and other officials, colleagues, and associates. If you were an employee and you would either be on a plan of improvement or have been fired according to the policy 1.7 rules of conduct. When our commissioners act this way, why would our employees feel that they need to follow these rules either? In the employee handbook, policy 2.1, business ethics and public relations, every employee represents Custer County to the public. The way we do our jobs presents our image of our entire organization. The handbook states that you should be sensitive to the fact that social media blurs the distinction between individual and professional identities as stated in policy 2.11, social media. It talks about if you have a prominent position in which you are associated with Custer County is known to the general public, ensure content, even if it's personal and not official, is consistent with how you wish to perceive yourself as a professional, appropriate with the public's trust associated with your position. Who do you answer to? Are you above the stipulations put out in the employee handbook? You are an elected official, and you are elected by the people of Custer County. They recognize your name when you comment on public social media posts. Speaking of code of conduct, why is it that the employees of the auditor's office are the only ones liking your posts? See those blurred lines? I screenshot the employees from that department from the website, and I have a screenshot also of the people that liked your posts. Coincidentally, they pretty much match. Why is that? Is it because your significant other works in that department? I believe the employee handbook and the policy calls 2.16 calls that nepotism. So why are you voting on salaries when it directly affects someone that you are involved with? Isn't it your duty to at the very least recuse yourself from voting on those items because of conflict of interest? Speaking of conflict of interest, most of you keep voting on items when you have conflicts of interest because of your businesses. I feel like several of you think you are better than people who elected you and aren't showing the taxpayers that you are a good representative of our votes. Commissioner Busco, you also posted regarding the sign in my yard, BR 549. This is outside of the right of way, and the said sign is on our property. The sign was paid for by my husband, and I have the receipt. The treasurer's office also has a copy of that receipt from 3 years ago. Just so you know, a person can Google search and find at least 5 of those signs, companies, to make any personalized sign you want and hang it on that post. So my question to you is I'm disappointed again. Did you go and talk to that employee personally? As per the employee handbook, you should approach that person directly. Or did you even go talk to their supervisor? No, you chose to post it on social media.
Which I want to, on this, I think this is something, I'm glad you actually brought it up, VR 549. I think it's a policy the commissioners should look at, that 911 signs should only be 911 signs and not be a statement of anything. In fact, this was received by me from a person that dealt with the quarry fire evacuations. They sent me the picture of this. I don't know where it's even at. I don't know where you live. I'd have to, I guess I could put on VR 549 and see if I can find it. But what it was during the quarry fire, they said that evacuations, the fire department said this, that some of the houses we even lost were because either the signs were missing or because they've been removed, or however which way it was. To me, adding signs that are not emergency addresses causes confusion when they're the same color, same everything. So to me, that is something that the commission should look at as a policy or a ordinance, that emergency signs should only be used as.
Can't disagree with you.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because it is something that we should look at.
I feel that the residents of Custer County need to know who is really sitting in these chairs. You are all elected officials who are elected by the people of Custer County. I want you to think about why you're sitting in this position. And it is to represent the working people, or is it to benefit yourselves? If a taxpayer wants to call and talk to you about an issue, take that call. Don't hide. Have those hard conversations without blowing your top. Do the right thing and do what's ethical. My final thought, commissioners, remember that there are county policies stated in the handbook, policy 3.25, and laws against retaliation.
Is there anyone else? Yep.
Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, I got it.
I just want to touch on one thing. A month or so ago, a couple meetings ago, I was asked what I would do if we were in a crisis of downfall of money and budget crunches. Okay. So obviously, I would like to state, as this being an election year, every one of us own a business, and we're all self-employed that are elected in here today as a commission, and me myself. If I am reelected, I will donate my pay for the next 3 years back to my organization. And I would like to challenge you guys to think about that too, being that you guys are all self-employed and own businesses. Comes to about 150,000 a year on your guys' end, and that could be anywhere from 1.5 to 2 FTEs to keep somebody's job in this community. And I know we've had hard cuts too. And when you look at our 3.5 that we looked at, we did not let anybody go that is a plumber, fixes roofs, anything like that. We lowered some hours on our janitorial services by 4 hours a week so we could make sure and keep them employed. And the rest of them, through attrition, they left. No different than you guys and the snow guy that you ended up not being. We didn't need our snow guy either. So yes, we got rid of that position. And which I think we should say that we've always tried to do with the attrition. We're not firing new ones. Right. So I would also encourage everybody here, so they know the facts, as things are being published and different things that go out, attend our meetings. You'll know more if you will just come and understand what we're talking about than seeing whatever gets showed out on social media. I got none, and I love it. But I'll tell you what, I have sure heard a lot of it in the last month that I've been in the middle of, apparently. So, but anyway, I challenge you guys to look at your guys' area too, your department, because I said we looked at all departments. That's what I will do for our taxpayers. And I realized it's $3,600 for 3 years, $1,200 a year, versus your guys' $26,000 a year. We make $26,000 a year. 23 or 4. It's like figure in your FICA and all of that. You got $10,000 worth of insurance a year. You're talking about insurance and everything. You bet I am. It's costing the taxpayer, and we all own businesses, and we're all self-employed. That's all I got. I do want to say we didn't do any pay raises for the commission last year too. Neither did we. $100 a week, $100 a month. Sign me up.
Well, I think it limits who's going to be this year.
I understand that, Jim.
I quit the legislature because it was costing me money to be there. And I can't imagine putting in the time that everyone does on this commission for nothing. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. You have to have people run for the position, and they aren't going to run if they're going to not get paid for it.
So Jim, I understand what you're saying. State law says I can't go over $166 for a meeting. So for me to come anywhere close, and my meetings last, they're not as bad as they used to be, 6-8 hours at a time. Some of you have been there and left because they've gotten so late. And you guys meet twice a month, I meet once a month. And that's my regular schedule and sometimes a few more. But what I'm getting at is, if the state law says I can only get up to $166 a month, why does state law allow you guys for the same amount, and your guys' responsibility to run the whole county is great too, and my responsibility is to help run the school and send out educated kids that hopefully can sit in these seats and run our counties in the future and our state and our government. So why do we get shorted?
That would be fine, except for the fact that they have 2 meetings a month. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I go to 4 or 5 meetings a week.
How many of you guys in here have seen me at more than just a commission meeting or a school board meeting or something else, donating my time, being somewhere to make sure, and it ain't to be politicking or to be the good guy. It's so I've got the facts, and I know what's going on in our community so I can make educated decisions. And I understand that, Jim, and I'm not looking to stand here and just argue over this. I'm just saying, I am challenging you guys on a form of something to do, but that's what I will do.
And you take your paycheck every time before this?
Yeah, I'll start with next month. And I mean, the election's in June, so I mean, yeah, there's 2 more meetings that I get out of this term, and then there'll be 3 more terms if elected. And I will donate every meeting right back to the Custer School District that I get compensated for.
Okay, is there anyone else? Yeah.
Me? Okay. You're taking your chances letting me up here so early. I got a couple things here that are pertinent to conversations that we just heard. On tomorrow night, 6 p.m. in the Pine Room, there is going to be a candidate forum for the school board candidates. There are 4 candidates. Travis right here, Larry Baker from Hermosa, Sarah Barrett from Custer, and Mark Perino, who is also from Custer. It's a nonpartisan election, and that being the case, the Republicans and the Democrats are co-hosting the event. It's in the Pine Room tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Good opportunity to get to know candidates who are running for school board. I got word from the auditor's office that they are looking for poll workers. If you're going to have a successful election, get out there and talk to your friends and neighbors about getting in here to apply to work for the polls. That's going to come up later in the agenda, but I got one yesterday, so that was good. And one here on this, yep. And then the last one that I have is at the next Republican meeting on May 5th, Tuesday night, in the Pine Room. We are going to have a candidate forum for the commission candidates. There are 8 candidates this year. They're all Republican. We will invite the Democrats to come as well, and I got Joe lined up to get me some more chairs because we got a little cramped last time. So hopefully there will be plenty of room, but this is an opportunity to come in on May 5th. We start at 5:30 in the Pine Room to meet candidates, to ask questions. We write a question when you come in, throw it in the hat, and then we pull out questions. So I'm not partial to what the questions are. Sometimes I get a duplicate and I'll toss the second one out if we've already answered it. But it's a good opportunity to ask questions, chat before and after. That's what I got.
Anyone else? Seeing none. We go to the highway department.
Have several right-of-way occupancy permit applications. First one is going to be from Golden West for that fiber optic service at 11862 Sundance Road. It's my recommendation to approve this.
Second by Mark, second by Greg, any other discussion?
Golden West and their place and everything.
Very good. This most recent flurry of them has been services. To my knowledge, the mainline work is all done, and now it's the people who didn't sign on originally or deciding, oh crap, we should have got that one. They were button through. So,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
the next one is also from Golden West for a fiber optic service at 25424 Winsong Valley Road. I recommend approval.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
The next one is from Black Hills Electric Co-op for an overhead road crossing for power to electric on Saginaw Road, Section 1, Township 3 South, Range 3 East. Recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Craig, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
Next up, I would ask that the commission acknowledge the completion of a 1-year probationary period. Wayne Dolan has been with Highway for a year now. Doing a great job.
So acknowledge.
Just a couple informational items. I've just, as of this morning, received an invoice and tests for gravel on the Harshorn Rocks pit on LH Road. After a review of the testing and everything, I will likely turn in a voucher to purchase 12,500 tons for now. Of gravel supply.
And are we gonna put that on the agenda just to go over where you plan to purchase from? Like in the motion I made 2-3 meetings ago, to have an update on where you're planning to purchase, so since we approved every gravel.
I guess I don't know. Don't you guys approve the invoices?
We'd like to know where it's coming from prior to.
Yeah.
That
That was the motion that I made to have an update of where it was going to be coming from, where your ideas were, how much we're going to purchase from where.
Okay. Didn't I just do that?
Well, that's just one of them, but I mean, if you had other plans throughout the summer,
Further down the road,
yeah, just your plans of where you're planning to purchase from.
I guess I can. I need some clarification on that, I guess. Sorry, I just gave notification. I don't understand.
Well, I just want to see where we're planning to purchase gravel throughout the year, what this and where they're at. So,
Okay. Okay.
When it was the bid opening day and you made that motion, Bustles, the way I understood it was, and kind of the way Jess explained it was, with all of them, it depended on where the projects that he had planned for the year, and that's why he asked for all. And I'm not trying to defend just my own here. It was so he could save on the trucking, whether it would be the Laurel, the Streeter,
I don't deny
Black
any of that.
Hills.
Do you have,
Okay.
does anybody have that handy? I don't have to look at it.
That's the way I understood it when you made it.
That was
I
the
would read
first
the
one.
motion.
Okay.
Yeah, there's another motion that
Okay.
was down the line the next week or something,
Yeah.
Travis, after that. But
Once we did approve.
Okay.
we did approve, yes. We said, actually, I think it was on the one that said we wanted an update of where all the gravel was gonna be coming from for the year. It's in the
What our
motion.
projections are, where we're gonna get it and how much we're looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
So I understand we still got about 40,000 tons and down at Warren at Black Hills.
And again, guys, it's really not trying to be argumentative. I've told you all this. I've reviewed how much we have sitting in Pringle. We talked just, I believe it was the last meeting of the purchase that was approved by you guys from Streeter Pit, the Crolls. And now I just mentioned the LH Pit. What more information would you like?
Just literally what you're looking at buying from which pits and how much. Yes.
So I take, and maybe I'm seeing it differently, but what I am understanding you guys are wanting is kind of a snapshot of what are the projects for the coming
Yes.
year and what, not an exact amount, but what can you anticipate you're gonna need from different areas? You know, are you gonna be pulling from different areas and what are the anticipated projects?
Oh,
That's how I took
Yeah.
it.
okay, I understand that. Well, that's totally different, yeah.
That's what I'm saying is what,
And I could be wrong in my interpretation, but
no,
that's
that's
how
what
I.
we're looking at is
There's been a little bit
what
of
are we looking
feedback,
at from which this
negative
and-
feedback on the, buying from the highest bid in the county, but trucking is
It's a huge issue.
our issue.
transparency for the guys that all bid too, to see where the
Right, if
probably.
you don't have any projects in that area,
Yeah.
then they're not, make a false assumption that they're gonna buy gravel.
Okay. Yeah, I will,
I don't know if that helped or not, that's just.
that
how I-
definitely helps, because that's not how I was understanding that. I apologize for that. I will put together an estimated list of, well, I know exactly what we have for gravel, an estimated list of projects upcoming. I can do that very easily. Part of that is also covered in the 5-year plan. Part of it is also covered at my office. You're more than welcome to stop in and check out the race board anytime. That's, anybody that walks in can see that.
Well, it's just easier to
Also,
follow to see.
also keep in mind, commissioners, from time to time that changes at a moment's notice. If we have something happen, that a road gets messed up, we're gonna have to haul some gravel to it. I can do that. That's easy enough. As long as we're talking about gravel, this is just an advisory cautionary tale for everyone involved. Not the commission, doesn't require a decision. And please, for the general public, I understand that we have roads that we need to blade. I would love to send the blades out on every road we have. However, now is an absolute terrible time to be blading roads, people.
Yep.
As soon as we loosen up that gravel, if we can get it loose, that material stays loose and the road will get worse. If you think you got a bad road now, I will certainly, at the commission's direction, I'll go loosen up a section of road and we'll see how bad it gets in 2 days. As I promise you, you'll be angry. The only reason our roads haven't fallen apart already is the fact that we haven't touched them. They're sealed down and they're tight right now. We don't have loose material everywhere. We have it some places. The drought situation we are in is serious. I haven't run the report today. I run one every week. We are only one step before the worst possible drought conditions. And the entirety of Custer County has been in exceptional drought for just about a month. Everybody's been here for the winter. We know what we got for winter moisture. It snowed the other day. I and one other blade hand went out and worked with what little moisture we had. And it wasn't enough. I set the blade down, and as soon as I started cutting into that road, dust was rising. And that was when there was still snow in the ditches. That's how dry it is, folks. I apologize for the inconvenience. Most certainly, I want them better. Everybody wants them better. I can't stress enough that nobody wants our roads nicer than my crew, because if they're nice, we don't hear complaints.
Well, I don't think we want to be blatant. We don't want to fire right now.
That's what I was gonna go into next.
So,
Scraping iron across gravel is not a good idea, and anybody who's ever operated equipment in the dark knows what kind of a sparkler show gets put on. The same thing happens during the day, you just can't see it. So I'm not gonna have a
The
forest
murder
fire
fire
on
near Pringle in 2012.
Yep.
Of the road grader.
Forest Service road grader.
Yeah.
Forest Service road grader. Yep. Well, we had some other ones that were, yes, but we won't go there. But yeah, that was over 12,000 acres. We burned close to 20,000 acres in the county so far, and it's not the end of April yet. So,
I'm lucky it rained that day.
or we wouldn't have stopped it as quick as we did.
On a note to the public, this is, sheriff's deputies don't get angry. All of the roads within the Black Hills area and the Treat area, our county roads are majority posted at 35 miles an hour speed limit.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not about getting anybody a ticket. If you want to drive fast, fine. But keep in mind, every time you go over that speed limit, that's wear and tear on our road. So please help the highway department. Just slow down. That's all. Yeah. I would certainly appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Commissioners, I think that's all. Do you have any questions? Mark, you're gonna touch on our meeting at later time in the.
Yeah.
Mark, again. Okay, then I'll leave that to you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
Maintenance. Good morning.
Morning, Joe.
Number one item here, seeking the approval to advertise and hire for an upcoming vacancy for a maintenance position. That vacancy for my department will begin May 6th. It would be a fully benefited position starting at $23.53 an hour. So we're just seeking approval to advertise and hire for that.
This isn't the one that does the crossover with weed test, right?
Nope.
This is your full-time guy, Nathan's the
This
crossover.
is the one that is gonna be transferring over to maintenance.
Yeah.
Or highway, I'm sorry.
This was supposed to be.
Is Amber here? It's on later. In
I
the,
talked yesterday, I told Amber, I
Human
expressed
Resources.
a concern that there, perhaps she should explain that before we got to Joe. Joe and I both did, but apologies, guys. It's not happening in the order we would have desired.
Yeah, that's a little goofy, but we understand what's happening, so hopefully the public will understand also. It's a position transfer from one department to another, so, which leaves Joe shorthanded.
Yeah, 50% of my full-time staff.
Right, so I would move to approve advertising for hires.
Motion by Craig, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
All right, next thing is approval to advertise for sealed bids for the construction of a new 45 by 104 whole building for the fairgrounds. But before you guys do that, I think there's some things you need to decide first. And first, we've received the $27,133.60. We've already received a check. Auditor has it. Upon completion of the building, we would receive another $27,130. So a total of $54,267.20. You guys have to make kind of the decision now if you want to put that towards that. In all fairness and transparency to the fair board, where they know where they're sitting. You guys are intending to put that money towards it.
Instead of fixing the old building. put it
Yeah,
in the new building.
that money is intended for the fairgrounds building. I think it's a state fairgrounds building. Them getting rid of that cost, it's just a big bonus.
Yep.
So,
But nothing more than insurance.
yeah, they've got their other money.
And that's where, just to clarify before you guys approve it, you know.
And then did we, I know it's further on, we can deal with the surplus later, but just making sure that,
That's on later.
yeah, it's all later, but that'll be surplus, and then just the insurance money goes to.
I have an invitation to bid all ready to go, so upon approval, I'll give it Jason and get that.
So they're expected to pay the difference minus insurance. I'll move to approve the advertising for the construction of the new building.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mark, second by Craig.
One thing was brought up, can we take a close look at the drainage around that existing closet a little bit, because it was kind of tight in there. I don't know. Use your expertise to see what you guys think. Work with the fair board.
Right, and they're gonna use the existing slab and then pour, 2-foot perimeter around it, so wherever that's at compared to other buildings, it's already set, but
Unless we
they need to make a little
raise the
sway
slab
or
up,
something.
Yeah, because the grandstands goes right to it, and it's not very far between the two.
we could pour a slab on top of that slab. That might get rid of there's a lot of plumbing in the old bathroom. That's where they got the stage goes across it. So I'm just food for thought, see if there's options, and now's the time. to get those options. The job's still doing a nice job. And that the building's cold in the wintertime and extremely unsafe in the summertime. It's hot.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say
Next item, the search and rescue building, we had hail damage, I filed a hail claim on it. We've been given a number that will be settled for, but the decision, if we're talking to Mike about it, do we want to redo shingles on it, or do you guys want steel? If you choose steel, where's that additional money coming from, the upcharge from shingles to steel? You gotta figure that out, but I don't. And then that would be the next thing too, is how do you want to bid it? We don't have to put it out to sealed bid, but it's up to you guys, you know, I can reach out to 3 contractors and get bids.
Probably should weigh the options, you know. We could still do, you know, we could do a steel, which gonna get damaged in the hail, unless it's, you know, structurally damaged, it's not gonna make anything. You have the same thing with impact resistant shingle with a fire rating also, so I don't know. Probably numbers will probably decide that decision.
Yeah.
So,
And then you want me just to reach out to contractors rather than, we don't need to do a sealed bid. I checked Tracy on that.
yeah, who's happy to think of a name workforce from past, done a good job, or
Steel's gonna be more, and now insurance, they don't pay cosmetic. My opinion would be replace the shingles, they're gonna pay for that. And
they'll give you a little bit on steel, but they're not gonna replace it
Yeah.
unless you have a higher policy, is what it comes down to, steel.
Because yeah,
We'll pay for replacement.
they're telling us now, yeah, the cosmetic thing is off there.
Yeah.
Steel.
yeah,
Okay.
so I would recommend shingles, price it out.
I'd say we do shingles now, the impact resistant is a lot more reasonably priced. There's $2-3 more available, but and they come with a fire rating also, so.
Plus the insurance should cover that. Pretty much means you get deductible, then we don't collect money at it.
All right.
That's all I got.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Planning department.
Hey, Commissioners.
Good morning.
The first one is a request for a mobile home court, applicant Smart Apartment. Applicants are proposing a 5-space mobile home park. Each lot size will be 80 by 110, 70 by 125, 70 by 125, 70 by 125, and maximum 70 by 125. There's currently a well there that will service the 5 lots and the additional 2 trailers that are not part of the park. There is a 20-foot wide utility easement along the west side of the property for utilities. The proposed road would be constructed of a 20-foot driving surface, with each lot having a 24 by 30 gravel lot parking area. The proposed road name will be Mill Drive. There will be a 40 by 125 public common area south of all the lots. A designated mail and trash collection area is planned near the north entrance of the property. The wastewater plans have been submitted and approved by the state DANR. This request was sent out for comments from the Interim Review Committee in March. It was presented and approved on April 7th by the Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission recommends.
My question is the road just garage somewhere for public access?
It is not, and I was gonna get with Troy yesterday, but we got really busy. I think it could be something just a document added and filed, but it is there. It has the north entrance and the south entrance. It's gonna be named. Are you just looking for a document that states it's a road?
Well, where it's at too, I mean, just an orange line drawn, I don't know if it shows for public access, but if someone questioned it, where it would be at. And I guess, do we need a road bond, or is the road gonna be built, or?
It doesn't state that in the ordinance.
How many houses are supposed to be served by one foot? More than two.
Up to 20, I think. They're the highway specs, so
What was the question?
How many houses are served by 20-foot road?
Up to 25.
So this doesn't require a road being built or a road bond?
All it says that it has to be in the ordinance, so I've attached it to your guys' packet. All public roads should be designed, constructed, and maintained to county road specs. Such construction and maintenance shall be subject to inspection by the highway department during construction and upon construction. Any public road that does not meet the above minimum standards shall be approved for use. So he's putting in the road under the standard of the highway department specs. And then I guess when it's built, the highway department goes out and
Because this isn't a plat that we signed, so where is the?
it has to be a public road. The ordinance states public portion of it, yes. And it is named.
Did you have something to say, Terry?
No, I just said for your ordinance, it doesn't require to be a plat.
No, I'm not saying it, though. I'm saying like, where do you have that it gets built? Like before, it's so when the highway signs off, then it's done. If there isn't a plat or anything that anybody has to sign, where's the?
That's the part where the ordinance.
That's why I stated what I stated at the planning commission meeting. Please don't confuse the word road with driveway. This is all one private parcel. I don't believe I have authority to go on one private parcel and tell them they have to put in a full spec road. My recommendation was for a 20-foot wide driveway.
But the ordinance states it has to be a public road.
And that's where my problem.
Yeah, my problem too, Mike, I'm not totally disagreeing with you, but any other time we go onto private property, we can't tell them what they have to put in.
But like, and I guess that's where it gets confusing then is it's not a plat.
Right, that's why I'd indicated at the planning commission and on my notes to Terry, this is a scenario that is entirely unique. I don't see how we can compare this to, this is, I'm sorry if it sounds bad, this is a trailer court versus a subdivision.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Nothing's for sale.
Right.
The reason, folks, the reason we've done one of these is it's new and it is a commissioner, so we don't really know.
We have other trailer courts, but that was
Yes.
like clear back in like the
We haven't
80s or
done
the
it there,
70s.
so-
Yep.
And it's kind of, like Jesse said, it's unique.
And I would say, I mean, if the landowner or whoever goes forward in the future is willing to put a road in or a driveway that is willing to meet or exceed county road width and specs, that would be amazing because we have places in other parts of the county that I drive into houses with fire trucks and different things, other things, for a pickup and a trailer, and we can't hardly pass one another. And they're heavily populated. So, I mean, in the future, if it ever would end up being public, at least he has met or exceeded whatever the county would want for a road or a city street in the future.
So are we saying that this is a private road or are we saying it's a public road?
I understand what you're saying, I just,
The ordinance says it has to be public, and argue it's a commercial purpose, but.
And that was my question of how do you describe a public road?
So I guess you could do a document and show an exhibit on there and have the both legal descriptions coming in from the north and leaving it south. And he could name it Mill Drive, and it can be a document that you can file at the registry of deeds office.
Well, if we approve it as a public road, there's documentation, there's a motion to approve.
But how do you describe
Yeah,
it?
You still want some.
It'd probably be better to have an easement, a public easement filed with the registry of deeds office for the benefit of those parcels.
So I guess my question is, we've never done one before. Everybody else does an RV park.
Yeah.
And they put permanent, long-term houses there. The only reason I'm doing the trailer park versus the RV park is I'm trying to follow the ordinance. Every commissioner but Lynch was at the meeting, the planning meeting. Everybody had a chance to comment. Planning commission did their job. I went above and beyond. I got an ingress, egress. I mean, really, this is kind of stupid because the ordinance really doesn't address everything that needs to be addressed. And I think in the future, it needs to be relooked at. So I could have done an RV park and did long-term housing just like every other RV park around here. But I'm trying to do it the right way. And it's kind of funny that these questions are coming up now when you guys were all at the planning commission when it should have been addressed. Yeah, it
That
feels
was
a
a
little,
planning commission meeting. We were just there to see what's going on, just like the public does, you know.
everybody was
So,
there.
and I'm not
We
saying
should
I'm
address
against it,
this.
Mark. We just have some questions here, and we just want to make sure things are on the up and up. And, you're willing to put in a 20-foot top road, right, Mark?
That's the plan. That's
Yeah.
what's on my,
I don't see any issues, really, other than maybe that document for,
Document contingent
Document
upon the
for
road
data.
being done.
yeah. Yeah,
well, I'm not gonna file a public road on private property. The reason you do a mobile home park is so down the road, you don't have a platted road there, you use the property for something else. I can see
What's that,
a
Jerry?
platted road when you're platting property because you need there to be there forever. This is private. The road will be private, but it'll have access to everybody using it.
I guess I'm confused, one part we're talking private, the next part we're talking public.
Well,
Ordinance 2 states that all public roads shall be designed and constructed and maintained the county roads. So it does have to be a public road.
so that's
yes,
the public road.
but I'm not gonna plat a public road in there
I
because
don't think
that
you have
road,
a flat one,
You're
just
not-
a
you're
document
not
stating that
asking
it's a public road.
They're not
Right.
asking to
You don't need to plat anything.
No, it's just a document.
Yeah.
stating-
well, it's right there.
And what your document would indicate that it provides public access for those purposes. And then say down the road, you decide to take it out, it can just be vacated and it doesn't become, so you're doing it for specific purposes for your commercial.
Granting public access to those lots, the residents plus any guests that they. Right? Am I
Right.
thinking correctly?
Which if the ordinance didn't say public, you could put private easement, but, and the ordinance does, I mean, there needs, obviously there's a lot of issues with the ordinance that need to be cleaned up and moving forward with these types of things. But it's kind of a simple thing.
Need a motion?
I would make a motion to approve contingent upon the filing with the register of deeds for the public access and the road being built to the spec that Jeff Doyle recommended.
Motion by Mike, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. You voted for the
Yes.
The next one I have for you is a request for a variance to ordinance number 2, Article 4, Section 117. The minimum distance between any structure and any property line other than a right of way shall be 15 feet. Applicant is Roland Bauer, Deepwood Morty Enterprises LLC. Applicant is requesting a variance from ordinance number 2 setback requirements for property line. They're requesting a 5-foot setback from number 2 being too close to the road on the property. They are constructing a new building. This request was sent out for comments from the Engineer Review Committee in March. It was presented and approved on April 7th by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission recommends grant under control.
Did anyone make that one? Like, what is the rocks or?
There's no rocks in the back and the front of the house. It's a rocky place because it's good. They got buildings and places that was. It's not a, 10 feet just doesn't seem to be.
That is Forest Service behind there, right? I'll move to approve.
motion by Craig,
I'm gonna abstain from this one.
I'll second it.
second by Mike. Any other discussion?
Yes, I have some, just looking back through, I actually have Terry mental our past motions and looking back, I was part of, I believe it was 3 or 4, like to 5 feet. We haven't done any, my time is close to Forest Service, but they were neighbors that had approved the neighbor building something that close. It's one of those things, our ordinance says one thing, we move it, keep moving it down, and we have done it before. I just don't know when we, like I said, it's one of those things that makes me nervous going that close.
I have to agree, when we have these variance requests, they come in, we do have a 15-foot setback for property lines, and a 20-foot setback for utilities, or for Forest Service, and that is because because the Forest Service is typically an Alec Watch parcel, so they don't have a legal description. So when that happens, you have to take all 20 feet for utilities and keep it on that private property. So when we have these variances come through, more often than not, we are approving them to be closer than what our variant or our ordinance is having. So I think we either need to change the ordinance to where we have setbacks that are a lot closer, so we can alleviate this problem. We have a ton of variances out there. Even when the Forest Service says no, we still go and within that 5 feet. 5 feet is really close. When you're doing a construction on the structure, you can't get a look through there. You're gonna trespass regardless if it's on Forest Service or it's on private property. We need to be a little more consistent, so it's a little easier on our office. It's tough when some people come in and they've seen, well, these people here look at this or they look at that. And it's just a case by case, we try to explain that. There are topography issues, we do live in the hills. But more often than not, these setbacks can be met. And moving forward, I think we need to look at either changing the ordinance so we can alleviate something. It's getting kind of tough on our office.
What was the Forest Service response on this?
We haven't got a Forest Service response because
There's no response.
yeah, I haven't got a response.
That's one reason I'm kind of made the motion, and the other reason is the buildings are lined up. I didn't want to look at it.
Well, this shows how bad our ordinance is, though, because we want to set and look in the land ordinance too.
Well, we do have setbacks. We did change some of the setbacks, and then we did have the revised multiple park in there too.
I guess Councilor Wood again. Anyone else got anything or?
I was just gonna, I can't agree with Terry more. I think we've come to bad behavior of using variances for any type of change, which we can do that in single scenarios. But I believe variances were put in place to like correct sins of the past. You know, somebody put something too close to a lot line. Okay, we're gonna give them a variance that will leave it there. But we just use it for every single change that somebody wants to do. I don't feel that that's the interpretation of a variance. So I feel like the board and everybody and whatever we decide for an ordinance, it'd be nice if everybody was on the same page with that. And yes, you could bring one by one, I get that, but.
And I honestly, my personal opinion was that we should stick to around at least 10 feet. In my own personal opinion. And I guess, like I said, it's one of those things that.
Was it this one brought to us because of rocks?
They said it was a topography issue, yes. And when they discussed in the planning meeting, they said it was rocky. I believe one of the planning commission members said that he would not like the word topography to be used in this because you can, I guess you say plaster rock.
Yeah, and Brendan Collin did mention that to me. He said, well, could it be a much larger expense? We all know you can move rocks.
After discussion.
For the utility aspect of it, if you cut into that 10, 20 feet and the neighboring property wants power or telephone or whatever, it makes it awful tough to get in that 5 foot.
Yeah, but there's no
To get power
easement right
to
there
it,
for anybody's power.
Right, you gotta look at each parcel individually. Who's gonna run anything along that line?
Yeah, they were worried about.
So the
power
property
easement. I
itself
don't think there's a
comes- right,
utility
there's not
blanket
that.
utilities.
The Forest Service can go wherever they want. It just seems silly to me. So you've got cabins lined up that are all 5 feet away. In my mind, this was kind of a no-brainer because you're building another one. Why on earth would you set it out 15 or 20 feet in the middle of the road and reroute your road, have to cut down a bunch of big trees that are out there? It just, this is a case-by-case thing, but this one, to me, I went out and looked at it, and it would only make sense. What would this hurt being 5 feet away when we have 4 other cabins that are exactly 5 feet away?
Well, the other cabins are not 5 feet away. They're, the farthest north one is 10, 12 feet away. And as you get to the south one, it's about 4.5 to 5 feet. And so if we keep going in line, it's going to go outside the bound. Lining up the back isn't a very good right there.
So to bring up Jesse's point, the power line actually does run behind the buildings, and it runs to the buildings, it runs to the property, clear down on the south, and of course on the north side is the road. So there's power everywhere, and that's the biggest reason for
And then it's
a
a case by
setback.
case basis, I was just telling you
Yeah,
that's
I
a
know.
scenario that.
But this is why it's important to go look at them, so you can see the power lines there, you can see the existing buildings, you can see the topography, the rocks. Otherwise, you can't really make a fair decision if you haven't seen it and have the facts.
So I'm just gonna play devil's advocate a little bit, and I don't know where the power's at, so maybe Mark, you can explain this to me, but it's not, and I get that it's Forest Service back there, but it's not unheard of for Forest Service to sell the property in exchange. So what happens if one of those Forest Service parcels gets sold to private and somebody wants to develop that or put a residence in there? Is that 5-foot area now, is that gonna have to be used for any type of utility?
No, it's all
they'd have
wells and
to slather
septic,
them.
power lines already, and that's the only utility you use.
So I haven't looked at it, I just wanted to have an answer to that question.
And I guess, like I said, it's one of those things that when we get done with the new ordinance too, we really have to look at.
And you do, and it's, I mean, we're currently, and it's not a problem with our ordinance right now, because we have the setbacks in the ordinance. The problem comes when you guys are granting variances, and I've got on my soapbox a million times that variances are the exception, not the rule, and that they kind of become the rule in a lot of scenarios. And so when you're looking at your ordinance, I think you need to really look at that as what you're doing with your variances, and you want to change those parameters in your ordinance.
That's like I said, I had her look at, even during my time, what I voted on, because we found, I think, the city report had done all against private where a neighbor had said, and I was the 5 feet there, and then Alex. The neighbors approved. I guess we go to games. I prayed first, I said.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
It dies. Yeah, it's 2/3 vote.
Once again, all the commissioners, but Jim was there, for the whole discussion with planning. I think
If
that
I'm right,
would be the
with
time to.
2/3 in the numbers. You have to go down to the 3-person, counting the chairman, you gotta go to the 3-person commission to have one.
I just got a quick question, because I've never had to file a variance in Custer County yet, but does Custer County, do they have a fee to file that variance? $500? Okay. I just know what Pennington is in Box Elder and Rapid City. What, I can get 3 of them for a Box Elder one. Okay, I just didn't know if there was, because I've never had to file one here in this county.
The next request I have for you is the final plat of tract H revised lot, utility lot H, Custer Development Corp. Applicant deed holder is Magpar LLC. They are proposing a lot split. Tract H revised will become 1 acre. Utility lot H will become 1 acre. Access from across two roads, which is a 66-foot wide dedicated public right of way. And there will be a 20-foot wide private access easement dedicated to this plat for the use of tract H and utility lot H. This plat was sent out for comment to the engineering review committee in March. It was presented and approved on April 7th by the planning commission. And planning commission recommended for the board grant final approval.
And this was all private, everything there too, so. I'll second.
Motion by Mike, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
The next one I have for you is the request of a final plat of lot 6C, 6B, and 6E of Westwind Drive subdivision. Applicant deed holder is Westwind Corporation. They are proposing a lot split. Our ranch tract 6C will become 22.32 acres. Our ranch tract 6D will become 6.29 acres, and our ranch tract 6E will become 44.91 acres. Access to tract 6C and 6D is from Westwind Drive. Access to tract 6E is from Northwind Drive. Both are 66-foot wide public access and utility easement. I was sent out for comment to the engineering review committee in March. It was presented and approved on April 7th by the planning commission. The planning commission recommends it.
Motion by Mike, second by Craig, any other discussion?
This road was constructed on the previous spot, so when I talked to Jess, he said the roads are constructed on this one.
It's all good, Jess.
Yeah, we did this one a year ago. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, that was bonded, that was checked, that was all signed off on back almost exactly a year ago.
That's all, I just gotta remember all those.
Yeah, I had to look it up.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
I just have a little piece of information for you guys. I wanted to give a little bit of an update on the building permit increases. We increased our outbuilding from 5 cents to 15 cents. With the 4 months so far, the total at 5 cents would have been $3,260. With the increase, that total is $9,782. With an increase of $6,521 just for outbuildings. Residential went from 10 cents a square foot to 30 cents a square foot. The total with 10 cents a square foot would have been $2,428. That increased to $7,285 with an increase of $4,856 in buildings. Just wanted to give an update. There was a gal that made a comment that our fees are extremely low and she haven't had any pushback.
No, I can't imagine.
Next meeting, we will have a work session.
Sounds good. We're gonna take 5 minutes, have a donut.
Yeah.
Wrong spot, Jim. I'm not ready.
Not ready.
Take it for the ride home, Travis. Take it for the ride home.
No.
Always gotta be a Travis in the group. Always gotta be a Travis.
How many trillions of dollars? So, how many people will be attending?
I don't know.
No, I'm talking about. I'll let you know when I get back. I'll let you know.
officer.
Yes, giving just a quick glance at the March 2026 financials. Our revenues were $1,013,790.95. Our expenses were $853,662.15. Registered deeds receipted in $11,975.50. Sheriff's Office $2,394.70. Clerk of Courts $7,137.76. And motor vehicles $97,015.98. The treasurer's checks that came over from the treasurer's office were $297,635.96, which I need your guys' approval on. And the end cash balance is $6,874,339.77. That's just a quick glance. Well, because they don't come through your packets, it comes through the end of the month packet. So I just want to approve them.
So you need a motion?
Yes, please.
So moved. Motion by Mike. Second by Mike. Any other discussion?
And then when is Bruce finishing up the other?
Bruce came in yesterday, and in the next 2 weeks, we're planning on finishing, and the actual audit will be the end of summer, fallish, this year. So,
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same.
okay, next I have approved liquor license renewal for LT Campgrounds, doing business as Custer KOA, retail on-off sell, malt beverage, and South Dakota farm wines, good for $300.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mike. Second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
An approved liquor license renewal for Solid Rock Partners LLC, doing business as Beaver Lake Campground, retail on-off sell, malt beverage, and South Dakota farm wines for $300.
So moved. Motion by Mark, second by Mike. Any other
What's the
discussion?
convenience fee? Don? On those receipts. Says the amount's 300, convenience fees 309 and 4.
Oh, that's your credit card. isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Election.
So with the, because the ambulance district will be on a separate ballot, we do need additional 12 election workers for the primary election. So I just need approval with that.
Motion by Craig. Second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
And that's to handle the ambulance.
Yeah, yeah.
That needed to really be on a separate ballot anyway.
It did.
So we actually didn't have to
Jason.
be.
We're gonna tell you about this, Jason. We're gonna get on the check, but
Yeah. So technically, we would have to do it either
what
way.
happened worked out well.
Technically, you didn't.
Good
call
job,
it.
Jason.
No,
I'm trying.
So I'm a little confused, okay, so a couple meetings ago, you approved the ballot workers, okay, and now we're approving another 12. Is this just the 12 for the ambulance at that particular time?
that's just that ambulance district, those, what was it?
Yeah, but I mean, but this is for the next election after this election.
No,
This
no,
is the primary
same day,
election.
June 2nd.
You have to have
It's gotta be a separate
worker,
ballot
because
for
it's
that
a separate-
ambulance district.
It's separate, technically it's separate from the primary election. It's a special election.
Right.
We're holding it at the same time. So they have to have separate ballot boxes and separate workers.
Yeah.
So when I walk into that school at Fairburn on June 2nd, I'm gonna have to walk up and get my first ballot. And then I'm gonna have to walk back up and get the second ballot to vote for the ambulance.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I don't know how else we would do it.
Like, law, codified law.
No, I mean, I get it by law, I get it, I'm just like, I don't understand why we can't multitask.
It
But
complicates.
I would take that to
Yes, only for the people in that district.
Not everybody. just-
Right, guys, that's
It's
only.
not
for the-
everybody.
Yeah,
It's
just
only
for
the
that
No, no,
district.
it's just on my side.
Yeah, you'll be in that, but only the
Yep.
people that were in those legal descriptions
Right.
in that district.
No, no, exactly, exactly.
Okay,
and it-
Jason.
You done?
That's good.
Okay. Jason, I'm gonna take the meat out a little bit. All right, the first one I have is Red Runner Ranch Living Trust. This is the abatement that we've been talking about for several months. One that we were waiting for the state to give us some direction on, which they have not done. We talked about it before, so I've just gone ahead and decided on my own if you guys can approve it or not. Basically, what we're doing is we're adjusting now $6,037.70 off this parcel, putting back in ag, and they're also going to, the amount that we're actually gonna pay is $3,1885 because they agreed that they would pay half or absorb half of that, so $6,000. So, and they're also going to, they do have cattle out there and have had it, and they're also going to do a horse management plan in the future, so. Then put them back in ag.
I'll move it. Second. Motion by Craig, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same.
Okay, the next one is for empties, and this one is on the parcel we went out to because during the field time, we go out there when somebody objects to our valuation. They objected not really to the valuation, more it was about their tax bill. And so we started looking at that, we promised them we'd look at it. And we came to find out that they had been, when they fully finished their house, which we took out last year, what happened was they were already getting owner occupied on a portion, which we don't typically do, but for some reason in the past they did on a few properties, I'm not sure why. However, when the house was fully finished and taken up to its full value, what they did was the owner occupied didn't switch over to the actual whole house and just left on the other portion. So what we've done is gone back and figured that in the amount I'm asking for the abatement is $1569.49, which puts them into full owner occupied status.
And that was here on our office. I'll move to approve this.
Motion by Mark, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same.
And the final one came to me from the sheriff's department. This was one on a mobile home that was removed a couple of years back. It still keeps showing up on a tax bill. This is the way we have to take it off. So we have to make it a 2184. It's already been, all the fines and everything have been paid. All the back taxes have been paid. And this just eliminates the books.
Second. Motion by Mike, second by Craig. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
Michael, read this.
Hey, Mike. I just wanted to see if I could get the approval to hire my one seasonal weed sprayer position. This would be non-benefited, temporary position at $18 an hour. I have someone in mind, Tyler Cooper, is a college student. He can start the week of, start May 12th, which is a Tuesday, but he'd have to go back to mid-August. Kind of a little short, but didn't work for you. It'll work. I didn't. Never mind.
Really make it work.
Really didn't line up for it. Yeah, I started advertising in February.
He wasn't
So
right.
here, several weeks. I have to
Motion by Craig, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same.
Mike, while you're here, give us an update on your bus tour. You gave me the.
Sure. If you didn't know about it, the conservation district hosted a bus tour of the fire. And the YMCA was very generous and allowed us to borrow the bus on Friday. It was packed with people. We had speakers from South Dakota Wildland Fire and from the Forest Service to speak about fire behavior, fire ecology, and things that people can do to protect their homes, minimize the risk of wildfire. Then we had Carl Hansen from the Chronicles there taking pictures, and we had a reporter from KOTA. I don't know if you saw the video. There's a nice video that they put together. There's on the news. Of course, we didn't get mentioned. The district didn't get mentioned in the video, but it was good nonetheless.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
There is a possibility we'll host a public meeting as well for the DARE team. DARE is Current Area Emergency Response Interagency Team. And they have a report that should be up soon. And they're talking to us about hosting a public meeting.
Good. Thank you very much. Emergency man.
All right. Yeah.
Good morning. Keep it busy for a bit, reading landscapes.
And
Gotta
just
bring
for
the water up.
clarification, the ordinance doesn't have to be read in its entirety, just the title.
Or just by.
Oh, you get off easy then.
I mean, you can make him read it if you really want it.
Come on,
Even the
guys.
ambulance.
You want me to, you always want me to shut up.
You never really say that right to your face.
It's a little different than a resolution.
Okay.
But I'll bring up the specifics, and I won't read the whole thing. I'll bring up the specifics that Tracy told me
So you get started.
to bring up. So first I have the request for the chairman's signature on the Office of Emergency Management, single signature form. That's a form that you have to fill out quarterly to the county to receive.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Mark, second by Craig. Any other discussion?
I'm sorry.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
It's trying to hurry. So yesterday we met with Office of Emergency Management, so we got the approval for the funding for the windstorm. The city and the county both met with the OEM hearing yesterday. We went through the process of getting signed up so that we could receive funds from FEMA for both the city and the county for the damages and for the projects that we had during and after the windstorm. So we're moving forward with that stuff. Just wanted to kind of let you guys know if that's what was going on.
What percentage of the damage are they paying?
So generally, when FEMA does a declaration like that, FEMA pays 75%. The county pays the 25, but the state generally kicks in like 10 to 15%. I think the county's portion of it, the state was 10%, and the county's portion was 15%. So yeah.
Nice.
It's good.
So yeah, countywide burn ban, just to touch on some stuff with that, had a discussion with folks, where we're at with moisture and stuff at this point. Recommendation is to keep it in place until we get some moisture. Also had a discussion with some of the Forest Service, and Mike and I talked about it as well, but if we would keep it in place and say we get, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain, we want to rescind the burn ban, but we'd like to do it before the next commission meeting. Are we able to just do it like we do when we shut the courthouse down? If I can have the conversation with fire officials, law enforcement, and then Jim and I have the discussion to rescind it. Can we make that happen? Or is that something that we would need to vote on? Or
No, I think the chairman should be able to make that call.
I mean, we do it in the opposite respect when we close down the courthouse, so.
We may need a motion to make that.
It's an actual resolution.
Yeah, we have
You
to
would
read
need a motion to grant that authority,
Yeah.
because it's a resolution by the commission, so. So they would need to give
Give Jim the
authority.
authority. Yeah.
In our the next time this comes up, hopefully never, but we can put that in the new one.
Yes?
Take it for what it's worth. Just Jess, not highway super. Wait until the next meeting.
Well, we're
We're
not
not
taking
doing
it all.
anything today.
Yeah.
No, I know. When that time, if we get that 2 to 4 inch rainfall.
Yeah.
Wait,
Or maybe wait for a
Because that's
week.
my
wait for a
point.
week or something,
Meeting
yeah.
every 2 weeks, why
Yep.
would-
Yeah.
Why would it be
Yeah.
pressing before us?
Yeah.
Yep,
In a
yep.
period that is- To me, that doesn't make sense.
I'm gonna chat with the Forest Service. I keep seeing a thing about their fire.
Okay, so I'll explain the fire restrictions. Try to, in the Black Hills Forest Fire Protection District, on the South Dakota side of the Black Hills, they're in level 1 restrictions year round. That's why you can't build a fire anywhere you want on the forest. Okay, that's because of state codified law. And on the forest here, they're in level 1 restrictions, and there's a few other smaller restrictions. But it doesn't restrict like fires in Forest Service
rates in campgrounds, like campgrounds and picnic areas that might have a campfire ring or a grow grade or whatever. It doesn't restrict that, and we don't have any jurisdiction to actually enforce anything on Forest Service, and that's addressed in ordinance 20 somewhat, but yeah, when they go to level 2 restrictions is when they would shut down fires in all the Forest Service campgrounds as well. And along with other things that come with the level 2 restrictions. Right now, it'd be great if they could do it down here, but for them to split up the Black Hills just becomes very confusing. That was part of the issue back when we used to issue burn bans and restrictions based on the fire danger index instead of the weather stuff like we do now. So that's kind of how that works. We're in Wyoming. It's on the Wyoming side. They don't have a level 1 until they institute it. So some people saw messaging come out in press releases that they had instituted level 1 burn restrictions. That's just on the Wyoming side. It always exists here on the South Coast.
And the commercial campgrounds are included in the burn ban.
Commercial campgrounds would be included in the burn ban, yes. And as well as Custer State Park. So, yeah, that's addressed in the ordinance 20 stuff as well.
But,
So,
but Steve, only level 2 in the Forest Service.
Level 2, and when they put the level 2 restrictions.
That's the only time the Forest Service, you can't have it in their campground.
In their campgrounds, correct.
Right.
Correct, exactly.
Okay.
For the other brand, the Forest Service requires a permit from the Forest Service.
Correct. Yep.
So, I'd like to ask for the approval of Custer County Ordinance number 20, an ordinance regulating open burning in Custer County, and just to add something to the very end of it. So, pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 7-18A-8, this ordinance is necessary for the immediate preservation of public health and safety and shall take effect immediately upon passage and publication. You don't have to wait 20 days for it.
You want to go into any of the others, the fines that go into it?
Yeah, what's the fine?
Yeah, we can certainly, we'd certainly go into the, probably don't need to do the definitions portion. Unless you'd like me to, I can certainly do that.
Just the fines.
Just the fine?
The actual fee.
Okay, so, regulations, I'll go through regulations and penalties. Within the Black Hills Forest Fire Protection District, open burning is not allowed without a permit pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 34-35-15. No person shall set any open fire when the National Weather Service has issued a high wind watch or warning, fire weather watch, or red flag warning for Custer County. And 3, no person shall set an open fire when the commission has placed in effect a countywide burn ban. Prohibition against open fire is provided herein shall automatically be suspended during any time the high wind watch or warning, fire weather watch, or red flag warning is no longer in effect unless a countywide burn ban has been placed in effect. Burn barrels, no person may ignite burn barrel. The National Weather Service has issued red flag warning, high wind watch or warning, fire weather watch. Use of burn barrels as defined herein are allowed when there's no high wind watch warning, fire weather watch or red flag warning, and in place when there is no countywide burn ban. Campgrounds, open fire is not allowed in any campground during a high wind watch or warning, fire weather watch or red flag warning issued in Custer County during any time when the countywide burn ban has been placed in effect. This prohibition applies to commercial and state campgrounds. Penalty for violations of the ordinance shall be a fine not to exceed $500 or 30 days in jail or both. Any violator of this ordinance may also be subject to additional criminal penalties for injury, suppression, and extinguishment costs associated with the fire as provided in South Dakota Codified Law, Chapter 34-35. Any violator of this ordinance may be subject to civil damages for injury, suppression, and extinguishment costs with the fire as provided by SDCL Chapter 34-35. Nothing herein shall construe or prohibit or supersede any civil remedy otherwise available to any person or entity. Permissibility of ignition of any fire as specified herein shall not operate to relieve the igniter of any duty of care otherwise imposed by law, or shall this ordinance operate to absolve anything things can be included or excluded as needed.
Or better defined.
Yeah, I think they might have been practicing law very easy.
I used to work with him, of course he was.
The other thing on the ordinance 20, and one of the biggest things is the prior one really dealt with just east of 79. So this encompasses, the majority of Custer County, city and national properties, but which is obviously.
And part of it came about because of change, in Wildland Fire Division used to run under the Department of Agriculture, now it's part of the Department of Public Safety, and things have changed somewhat within the division, and it make sense for us to have it cover the county.
And if there's a violation, law enforcement would cite them under the ordinance into court, so they would come into court. The court can fine them up to $500 and or 30 days in jail, but it also provides the opportunity then for your extinguishment costs and other things to be tagged on with restitution, and then there's civil liabilities to take effect. So we didn't establish a standard fine. It's just up to the maximum.
So the court would decide second, third offense kind of stuff and keep stacking them up.
Yeah. They think, but the court can't exceed the 500 or 30 days in jail. So, and I certainly would make a recommendation. Which at this point in time, if anybody's lighting a fire, it's gonna be $500. That would be my recommendation. I don't get to be the.
Good advice, you might recommend jail time.
Right.
And I'll say part of this is we've had people re-breaking it every time on the ordinance, so this is an update to put some teeth in it. I'll move to approve the ordinance 20 amendment.
It's the first reading.
First reading.
Yes, we go second reading.
Okay, sorry. Do we still have to vote on this one, or is it just?
Yeah, you just go to your first reading.
Okay.
With your
First
first reading, and you put it on the second reading, and then you can pass that.
Okay.
And then at the publication, it automatically take effect, you don't have to wait the 20 days.
Okay, first reading.
Second.
Well, yeah, we can still do.
Motion by Mike, second by Mike. Any other discussion?
Yeah.
I have a question on this burn ban, okay? In regards to proprietors around here that are renting cabins and so forth, and are absentee, have no on-site management, and have guests come into our community who are not aware of a burn ban, and light things out in the yard because everybody wants to have s'mores or cook or whatever. These people aren't aware of the burn ban. How do we make sure that the proprietors are following this burn ban? Because the incidents up by me in the last month have been 4 to 5 calls because there have been open fires up there in our area, which makes me very nervous because there is no on-site management, number one. Number two, if there is a fire up there and takes off, my property is in big trouble. And my exit out of there can be cut off. So how are we going to enforce this with these guys? Because this individual repeatedly does this. And the call has been made. You guys have been out there, I don't know, what, 4 or 5 times?
I think it was 7, but
Yeah.
we were finally able to actually track down the owner, and Wildland Fire spoke with them last Thursday, I believe, and we have not had a call since. So we're hoping that alleviates that situation, but that is a difficult situation for us to be in because you have a new person that comes in every night and they're coming into the area.
Correct.
Yes, they should have check on regulations and stuff, but when their owners don't put anything out and it just says, here's the fire ring, you're gonna have people that have a fire. And so I don't know what the overall answer is, but we're gonna keep going on case basis to try to track down the actual owners of those properties and speak to them about it. And from my understanding, that owner was receptive to what Wild and Fire told them when they spoke to them about the situation and said that they would make sure it didn't happen again. So far, we made it a week here.
Well, he's got barbecue grills up there. He does have, and I've seen them still sitting out there, the little briquette ones, which are very unsturdy, and with the wind that blows through there, could really start things up in a real quick hurry.
Sure.
So, makes me
We did
nervous.
have another meeting, with Forest Service and Wildland Fire and the Sheriff's Department, as well as myself, and we had with Custer Fire Department work. Myself and James Batchelor from Wildland Fire and Celine Springer working on kind of a template that will have, what's allowed. It'll basically be a chart that shows what's allowed under the certain regulations and stuff. And hopefully that's something that we can publish on the county's website. We can get it out to all of the campgrounds, and get that to the places where it's needed so folks know what is and what isn't allowed. The only other way that I can think of to potentially contact and get the information for those absentee landowners is going through the DOE and trying to figure out, I know we've done some stuff with absentee landowners, things in the past, that's not a this summer thing.
No, it's year round up there.
But if we can at least get better information out and have something that's a little bit easier for folks to look at and understand what the burn ban includes, just basically a chart to be able to look at, I think that'd be beneficial.
Well, I think property owners need to be responsible if they own a business like that.
There was a website and it still exists, but I'm not gonna promote it as a website because it's going away because the Forest Service can't use it. It's called blackhillsfirerestrictions.com.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's been updated on that since at least last year.
Okay.
And it's just not valid for anything anymore because it's not a .gov address. The federal government can't do any updates on it. And I've been doing this for 5 years. I found out it was my job to update it 2 days ago.
Right.
I don't have a login to get on to update it, so.
In your situation comes down to a communication situation, and we can't force those property owners, and criminally we can't hold them accountable. It's the person who starts the fire. But there can be far more significant civil liabilities that could flow to those property owners. So those are obviously, if I was a property owner, I'd be concerned about those.
I bet his insurance company would like to know about that. Liability insurance.
Yeah.
Keep calling though when you see fires. You're not gonna be annoying to us. We're hitting every fire we can as fast as we can, so.
Yep. Absolutely. Anything else? Thank you.
That's it? Appreciate it.
No.
No.
So the motion is what?
The first reading.
The first reading.
November first reading. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Just opposed, same. Search and rescue, all its roster.
Getting big.
Acknowledged.
Dakota View Lane, maintenance.
Is there anybody here to speak on? I don't see anybody here. Doesn't look like it. I went and looked at Dakota View Lane, so did Jess made a recommendation, and I do not see any way, shape, or form this would be a county maintained road. It is a subdivision road, is all it is. So,
It's only 33 foot wide easement, so.
yep, it's not up to county specs in any way.
It's too steep.
Anybody have any other comments for it?
Where is it?
It's what would it be, outside of
Every
the
40, just before you go into Pender.
Yep. It actually is a driveway that goes into Payne's Chemicals.
Is it a dead end road?
Yes, it is.
And if we were to
That's
take
what they
that
lost
on,
me on.
if we were to take it on, we'd have to have those size of highway department because everybody.
What was the argument?
They didn't want to do it themselves.
Yeah.
We said,
They said they had too little of people for road district, which is false.
yeah, we've told them many times, road district or make an agreement between neighbors, but it still came this way through a petition, so. I would move to deny the petition for county maintenance on 122.
Motion by Mike, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Human Resources.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's roasting in here.
Really?
So first up, request approval for one-time retroactive payment to the health savings account for James Lyon in the amount of $1,087.50.
So what was the deal there?
So I remember putting him in the system. It was when I was still new to putting in, this was my first HSA account. And there's a step on Encompass where you have to go in after you make the HSA account and then go in and add that account number. And that step got missed when I did that, and it was brought to my attention
So I didn't
recently.
just say you just pulled Jason.
So I,
So yeah, what it is, he wasn't getting the county store.
so this was just to
I'll
correct
move to
what the county was put in.
Motion by Mark,
Second.
second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
All right, second would be acknowledge lateral transfer of Keith Jeton, maintenance to the highway department, heavy equipment operator 1, effective 5/6/2026, and approve the starting rate of pay of $23.88 an hour.
And that's all checks out, Don?
Yes.
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Craig, second by Mike. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same.
All right, next up is the Dewey Fire, Edgemont Fire relationship situation, what have you. Evidently, this goes back some years, is just to give people a little background. Dewey is kind of an isolated area in the county. It's pretty hard to get to by any of the other surrounding fire departments or districts. And for the last several years, there's been an arrangement between Dewey and Edgemont for Edgemont's fire department to come over and really respond to all the calls. Edgemont actually has a district, and they are in Fall River County. And so what Dewey is interested in doing, and Edgemont is interested in as well, is to essentially expanding the territory of the Edgemont Fire Protection District to encompass Dewey, because they're already doing it anyway, and they're much closer than everybody else. I spoke to John Putman over there, who is essentially the fire department for Dewey, about the situation. Just looking to initiate, what we would be looking to do is to initiate a petition from the Dewey coverage area to essentially become part of this Edgemont area, the district. He's giving me a little background. I'm going to work with the auditor's office to get a little bit of background information, but my understanding from John was that the Custer County Fire Advisory Board has actually released Dewey to kind of go their own way, so they're not going to be part of the Custer Fire Advisory Board. And that what he was saying is this commission has actually approved that as well some years back. I've got a time frame we can look at minutes. So at least the door's open to, like, everybody wants to do this. Edgemont wants them, Dewey wants to do it, everybody wants it. So then it's because it's a cross-county issue. This would be a lot easier if it was just, county, but because we have Fall River County involved, we'll have a petition. This is my understanding with the law. It's a petition that comes from the Dewey area people. Then we have to then go through every little step, but basically, if those signatures are all approved, or we have the appropriate number, which is 10% of the people, which is, you know, there's probably everybody in this room is more than the area that is in that Dewey coverage area. So probably like 5 people or something put in this petition, then it brings it to the commission. Then if you more or less sign off on that, approve it, then we go to Fall River County, get their approval as well. And then at that point, we should be able to actually expand the district out from Edgemont to Compass. That would provide then, you know, the Dewey people would essentially be paying to the district in Edgemont across the county more or less to help fund the fire protection that's already been done in their area. So I know that this is a big thing for John Putman because he's like, this is something that's been going on for a long time, and I think he's kind of the last man standing, so he wants to make sure that this is done before there is no more person there to kind of manage it.
And this is similar to when the fire districts joined on the east side of the county, that one down across the county lines, the same way as they did with Keystone and Hayward and Hermosa going together for that.
It makes sense for efficiency's sake, and so I'll be working with Don's office and others to get this through. But this is an important thing for that area, and I think it'll just make it's kind of been a long time coming. So, any questions about that at this point?
Be good with what this started in 2005 originally.
Well, yeah, I guess there were some mumblings of it going back a long, long way. So this has been a long time coming. So it's like, hopefully you just get on the list and get her done.
That's right.
I'll bring updates in future meetings.
We have some stuff added.
Yes. That everything for you, Aaron?
That's everything,
Okay.
Yes.
We have some amendments on this.
All 3. Those are at the end. Or you want first down, or which one are you talking about?
Under S,
Yeah.
under commission.
But that's in the thank you card for the mail.
Yeah, that, and then Quonset.
Yeah, and the Quonset, so. The term limits would be the next discussion on there.
Okay, term limits.
So I had that put on there. Been on my mind for quite a while. I don't believe there should be a lifelong politician. Needs to go all the way to DC, but there's been a lot of people expressing their thoughts on this. I had a couple conversations with Phil Lampert, which was the next commissioner. He's a wealth of knowledge and keeps me grounded a little bit, which I appreciate that from Phil. This is kind of subject to topic, maybe Lindy and I visit on, must go visit on a little bit. What I'd like to do is see where we want to go with this, and I'd like to see it on the November election and let the taxpayers decide. So that's where I'm at.
So when you're thinking term limits, you're thinking 2, 3, what are you thinking, Craig?
So
I mean, I know you guys are 4-year terms.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you guys, what do you
Knowing what I know
think?
about the commission, you spend your first 4 years easily trying to educate yourself and figure out what's going on. Travis Beach and I had conversations on this quite a few times, and he says it takes you at least 6 to 8 years to get affiliated with the position. So it's not entirely wrong. We're still learning. I would recommend like 3, no more than 4 terms, full 4-year terms. I know there's some, there's been some appointments and some 2-year term stuff like that. I don't know how we work all that out, but there's been some discussion on maybe all elected officials, which I really don't agree with, because like you've got your sheriff, state's attorney, treasurer, auditor, finance, whatever you want to call it, registered deeds. Who am I missing?
Coroner.
Yeah.
Coroner, my God.
You'd be lucky to keep it.
Yeah. Those are very, entailed positions that not anybody can just fill. So where do you go?
like I said, it can be a catch-22. If you get someone good, they're good to have. Of course, there's topics people that don't like and do like and all the things. And to me, it'd be a voter's decision.
I think it needs to be a voter decision for us, yeah.
So then are you thinking after that, just sit one before you can rerun again if you so desire, or? I mean, I
Yeah, I
just,
think it should be
This
at
is just
least.
a baby step.
I mean, as long as we're discussing, I just kind of thought.
I think he can
In
make
the
it
future.
eligible again after, on the next election, which are usually on two-year cycles, you know. I don't know. Up for, you know, see what.
Sure. I'm just curious.
I see it as a double-edged sword. I think, I mean, it's an elected position, so if the public's not happy with their elected official, they can vote them out. And that's, you know, to me, that's.
You have term limits every 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. You
So
kind of
that's-
do. You have a term limit every 4 years. If the public's not happy with them, then vote them out. I mean, you get that opportunity every 4 years. And to me, the downside is, and you pointed it out, it does take time when you're newly elected in these positions to understand the job and really become effective in it. And, you know, and if you're just getting to that position and then you're term limited out, then we're starting all over with a newbie that doesn't know anything from the county standpoint and the government. And fresh ideas are great sometimes. I don't disagree with that. I mean, but I always feel that's my right to vote whoever I feel the best candidate is in. And
that's even at the state level. When I go there, when I first started going, Jim took me there for the new official stuff. And the state even said that the new guys get with your 20-some year commissioners and they've seen the ins and outs of every different topics. Yeah. Which, like I said, I don't agree with all of them, but.
Yeah. I think this smacks a little bit of hypocrisy. House Bill 1004, 2025 was killed by Goodwin and Ladner. And that House bill was to allow county residents to recall their county commissioners, requiring only a 15% petition from the voting public to initiate that idea. So what I was told was not just myself, but the people at the GOP freeform, what's it called, free forum held in Hot Springs that was attended by Amber Holst, Julie Fry-Mueller, Steve Saint showed up a little bit late, and Trish Ladner. Steve Goodwin wasn't there, or Tim Goodwin wasn't there because he was still recovering. But that question was broached to a senator, a wannabe senator, and 2 members of the House of Representatives. And they stated that it was, Trish Ladner stated that it was squashed by Goodwin and herself because they had spoken with county commissioners throughout District 30 that were not interested in this. They did not like this idea that county commissioners could be recalled. So to say, and I'm wondering what that.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Well, but
We're talking about term limits and
exactly, but it
recalls.
goes-
Nobody talked to us about it.
But it goes to term limits. It's simply a step in that direction. If we don't place term limits, then you're free to run around and do whatever you want to do for as long as you want to do it.
As long as they keep electing you,
Voted
that's
out.
it, yeah.
Correct. But what you were saying was, you like,
subject to voter approval. I mean,
yes.
I mean, I feel like I have a say every 4 years. If I don't like a commissioner or I don't like the auditor or whoever, I don't have to vote for them. And they can be voted out. So I feel like as a general public, part of the responsibility lies on us to vote, to pay attention to what's going on and to take a stand. If we're not happy with it, then vote for the change.
Yes.
That's not happening, which tells me the majority of the public then is happy with whoever they're voting in.
I agree with that, but I don't think it should be 4 years. I think.
You think it should be shorter?
I think you
terms.
should have the ability at any time, because I agree with what you said. If you're not happy with what any elected official is doing, the public has the right to get rid of it.
Right, and I feel that.
And it shouldn't be set on 4 year minimum.
So that's a little bit different because the the 4 years is set by statute.
Yes.
So if you want to shorten those terms, that would be something that would have to go through the legislature to shorten. I mean, the recall issue is a different issue, but.
Yeah.
And
So I
there
guess
are things in place that if you have an elected official that is not doing their duties and violates certain obligations, a request can be made through certain channels to have them removed, which then can go through a court process. So there is still an avenue available, but it's a lot different, a lot more difficult
And it's been brought up, I mean, when you talk about term limits, Greg, it's been brought up on our level too.
Yeah.
You know, not so much term levels, but, east and west side and at large. And I know back in the day, Jim, your dad and my grandpa, you know, there was an east, west, and an at large, and then it went from a 3 to a 5-man. So has there been any more discussion of that? And I know it's hard to get applicants to fill out petitions and come, whether it's at my level, obviously, your guys got a lot, we got 4, but I mean, I'm just saying, and I know it's hard to get them from the districts that you're needing or areas when you do that. But has there been any more talk about that discussion to try to separate any of that back out a little bit?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, just so there was representation all the way around.
Yeah.
I just.
And that's a concern. I had the representation part. I was over, I talked to Phil Preston and Greg Megabauer. Pop's a great place to hang out and visit with people.
You can learn a lot.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a
Yeah,
coffee
so-
shop.
And we did, you know, because Jim Lentz will be done at the end of the year, and he's on the fair board liaison. I'm the alternate. I just kind of told him, so I don't know what's going to happen in June. So if I happen to still be on the board in 27, that I would, you know, I'll step up and start coming to more of the meetings, whatever, you know. So they do have representation on that side of the county. So I've already got Fairburn and Buffalo Gap pretty as my little towns that I keep an eye on.
No, which I understand, but
yeah,
physically living in that area and then coming to this, at this seat or my seat at the school, I mean, it brings a whole different perspective of what you're looking at. And it's great that willing to travel and go and do and be part of the communities and part of the things. But sometimes just living there every day and coming here brings a whole
Totally
different
agree,
perspective
but
sometimes.
if there's nobody running,
No, and I understand that, Greg. I just didn't know, back in the day there was, and then it went away because of, I didn't know if there'd been any more talk about that.
I won't let them go unrecognized, for sure. I was out past Folsom last Friday, so roads aren't horrible. One little section could use a little help. It's pretty dangerous, but it's dry. You know, so I guess it's back to the, you know, that it was brought up to me several times. Becky, you had it on there too. You were talking about it, so I feel it's my right to bring it up to the public. And you guys, if you guys want to move forward with this, you think it should be talk to your commissioners. Yeah.
Question, have you guys looked, or other county commissioners, have they got term limits in the state? Because I've never heard.
I don't think there's anything. It's just kind of a new.
Right, and that's what I was wondering, because the commissioner position is very different as far as I'm concerned than a legislative position.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it is, it just is. This is more of a grassroots type thing. This is, you know, very localized.
When I was in the legislature, they came up with term limits. I think it's probably the worst thing they ever could have done. We lost a tremendous individuals off of the Senate and the House that were tremendous legislators, very knowledgeable, lots of experience, lots of past history, and they were good at what they were doing, and we turned them out. It was the worst thing that ever could have happened.
Well, and with the longer you're in there, you get the more powerful positions and have more clout, and you lose that influence.
Yeah.
And then you
The institutional knowledge is tremendous.
This, when we go to these meetings like here in our Black Hills Association, County Commissioners officials, I mean, some of these old guys are just a wealth of knowledge, you know, and so I am, you know, working with Jim Lentz, I appreciate that, you know, Phil Lampert's been the voice of reason, thank goodness, so. Travis was great, so.
Even the connections you gotta make. And
Even the connections, people you know, I don't have Jim Lentz's connections.
John, do we typically have low voter turnout for commissioner votes? I mean, they're not huge numbers.
It was pretty good, wasn't it? Last time.
Because I think ultimately, Tracy's right, it really falls back on the taxpayers. If you have a problem with commissioners, you need to vote them out. And that needs to be, you know, not just talk about it, do it. that are gonna go and vote.
And I can understand, and appreciate the argument for them.
Yeah.
I just, when I,
National level, I'm all for.
yeah, but when you start working through the pros and cons, to me, there's just a lot more cons. And I feel it's my responsibility to vote out if I don't like it. I mean, I can't do it myself. It takes other people, but.
Well, put some thought into it, and like I said, talk to commissioners, if it's gains any traction, we'll maybe pass a resolution, and if it's dead, it's over.
Okay. Budget, discuss policy.
Want to take lead?
Well, I'll bring it up. We've been working on a budget policy and line item policy with respect to the financial budgets. And, you've heard, if you were here at the last meeting, you heard a little bit about some of the horror stories of the past about how things weren't handled properly with cash flow and things like that. It's taken a number of years and tremendously hard work by Don and great assistant Bruce from the state's office to help, get everything back on track. So part of this going forward is to try, is kind of multifold, which is one is to provide as much transparency as possible, not only to the public about how the budget is done, but also to the department heads and give them opportunities to be part of the process in a more structured way, to say it that way. And we're even looking at having like a budget committee, more or less, that has some department heads on it, and that will rotate so that each kind of budget head can get more of a top-down view of how the countywide budget works. Sometimes when you're on your own silo of your department, you don't always see everything that goes on across all departments, and it'd be good for just educational purposes and institutional knowledge to get that kind of overview of that. But also to, part of the as well is to, make sure that we're managing the public's tax dollars as closely as we can, having certain, for example, ideas for budget policy items are expenditures over a certain amount, even if they are in the budget, that those would come before the commission and be approved on a one-by-one basis. That a line item in a budget is what that line item is for. It can't necessarily just be just because you have a budget that is for, we'll just use a number, $500,000, and you have line items for certain things. You can't just start swapping line item things around. And because you have $500,000, well, I'm within my $500,000. We're looking at like how we account for each one of these expenditures. All this trying to be as fiscally responsible as possible. So I know Dawn has been talking with her staff and also trying to talk to the other department heads. So I'll pass it to her to kind of.
We discussed it at the department head. I think it's important on the committee, and we decided a 3-man. I think Lincoln had 5, but a 3-man committee, and Mike Vesco is going to take the lead on one of them. But if you guys would suggest 2 other ones for that, and then we can bring that policy out, and you guys can approve it with the 3 board.
If anybody wants it more than me,
No.
And each line item, it is law that you can't go over that. We've been lax in Custer County, and they didn't hit us on that. But times are changing. Bruce is gonna retire. So we have to be very
The
careful.
new auditor's coming.
Yeah, you gotta be very careful that each line item, you budget 10,000 and it goes over, we have to supplement that budget.
So these are kind of some of the things and we'll be bringing this forward, the actual written policy, and we'll have that in the packet such that everyone can see it. But this is the idea, is to try to avoid any further issues down the road with auditing and just making sure that everything is done in the most appropriate way and the most trackable way, so that we have no more issues in the future.
So if you guys see the 2 other people, if you would like to appoint this.
You got any volunteers yet?
No.
What do you think of three commissioners? No, can't, three commissioners.
No, I don't
You
think-
have to do
No,
it.
it's in the department heads. I'd say we send out an email and ask if anybody wants to volunteer on this process. Doesn't, I wouldn't say so. A call for
There's,
department
maybe
heads,
there's some
volunteers,
knowledgeable
yeah, volunteers.
employees that want to partake in this.
I think one of the questions that the department had meeting was what the role of that committee actually was. But, and it kind of came out, it's kind of to work with department heads and look at a lot of those issues before it comes to you guys potentially. So, and we talked
Well, and
about
there's some-
things too, like with, there's certain months of the year that is better for us to make purchases as department heads versus others, just an open communication that, you know, if December's a bad month, hey, can you try to make your purchases prior to that, or, you know, just so that we know that there's some of those pitfalls that we're not aware of.
And also some of the over budgeting.
Right, but right now, our finances are coming up because it's tax time, yay. So we're looking pretty good now, but and a lot of some of the revenues that are generated for certain departments, like Jesse's department, is the funds are set aside and they go into certain accounts that generate interest. You know, like I think, one of your revenues for 25 was, I think it was like $57,000 just in interest alone on one particular item. So that money's not readily available all the time that we're getting at. So we got a big ticket item coming. Let's talk about it so we can get the funds moving around. Okay.
I mean, you know, there's a lot of parallels between running the county and running the business, is that you got cash flow. You know, I mean, if your business is the summer 2 months, you know, how hard people get, boy, it's February or March and they're trying to ramp up. I mean, I hear a lot from clients, boy, it's a tough time of the year, and then you get into the good stuff. So this is kind of the same thing. You have people paying their taxes at certain times of the year, sometimes not. And we're just trying to figure out how to, you know, best protect ourselves and the taxpayers' money and not incur penalties or things like that that we don't need to if we have to take out money from an account at a time and it's not advantageous. This is the point.
Poor people don't pay their taxes. That's kind of, it's misrevenue there.
Okay. Milton.
The first item is a letter from South Dakota DOT. Oh, do you want to do that? Yes, I'm sorry. Quonset.
Move to surplus.
Well, how, did you look into this, Tracy?
So you need to move to surplus it, and then the question is, what do you do with it from there? So if you're just destroying it and disposing of it, you don't have to do anything other than motion to surplus it. If you're trading or selling it and it's, or something along those lines, and it's not to another government or 501c3 type entity or something, or for educational purposes, then arguably you need to get 3 real property owners within the county to appraise it. And if it comes below $2,500, then you can dispose of it however you want without public notice, either privately or publicly. If it's above $2,500 from the appraised value, then you have to do it through a different method of sale.
They're giving it away.
Yeah, and actually, it's somebody that's going to come and remove it. Okay? We finally found somebody from the Fair Board did. Come take this thing out of here. I think it's going to Martin.
So my question would be, if somebody wasn't taking it away, what's the county doing? Are we tearing it down and just throwing it away?
Well, that was the problem. It would cost us a fortune to tear it down.
So if you're looking at it as a strict disposal, then then I think you're fine.
Okay. This pretty much is a disposal.
Yeah,
right?
so you
Would
still have to
agree,
make a
Travis?
motion to surplus it for disposal, and then if somebody's willing to come tear it down for you, and it's not gonna cost the county, you can just consider it disposal.
I just didn't know what availability we had to have it out to the public for to see if anybody else wanted it.
We've had it, we've asked for bids on it. Nobody ever came forward.
I just went to the county.
Just say several times you've done that, Jim.
Yeah.
For just salvage, just come and get it, and never got a taker. They all want paid.
So can we just surplus it to the fair board for disposal?
For disposal,
So
I
they're-
think you can do that. Yeah.
Their
And then- yeah,
discretion,
and it's their discretion.
their
and-
discretion of what level disposal rate.
Yeah, and whatever's most cost effective in the county at that point.
That's the way.
Do you need to put restrictions if somebody tears it down right there and it all blows away in a windstorm and then hits another building and then now we gotta insurance.
Well, that's-
Just stating the
I know,
fact.
I'm not denying it.
That's gonna be up to, I mean, the
I
fair
know,
board's
they're
gonna
gonna
issue,
insurance claim.
you know, whoever's going, however they're looking at disposing of it, they'll have to set those.
Yeah, that'd be good.
No
I don't
one's
muddy
in
the
it.
waters.
And we don't want it torn down and
So
sitting
you
there.
made a
and
motion
ready to
to-
rot.
Motion by Mark,
Just, just,
One thing I can see is that as a liability for the county, we've worked with house movers and building movers for a long time. And they destroy everything. They'll tear down power lines, they'll tear down signs and everything. So I can see it being a liability somebody to the county unless you do it right. is all I'm saying.
Well, the motion is to, surplus it for surplus to the fairgrounds and then they can do whatever they want to do.
The fair board.
For fair board, yeah.
is there anything else we need to have for liabilities with that, or?
My suggestion would probably be whoever, if somebody's willing to come in and tear it down and get it off the property, maybe you have them do a indemnification and release the liability to the
That's what
county. And
I'm
they
saying.
assume
At least have them signed down.
all responsibility and the costs and.
Any
And
problems?
part of that, they're not creating additional damage to the fairground.
Should we have some insurance?
Who's gonna break that up?
Aaron,
Hold on, cause I
Aaron.
agree with it.
I think we have something like that, pretty much.
I would offer the suggestion that you take the highway release of liability property thing and change the name at the top and hand it off.
Yeah, we have a very similar one for other things like that. We can use it on page.
So include that in the motion.
So, yeah, I would present a motion.
so the motion by Mark,
You still good?
second by Craig. Any other discussion?
I'll see, Travis, I'll see Phil tomorrow, I think, and I'll let it go.
What's that?
I'll see Phil Preston tomorrow. Let it
Cool.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Anything else, Don?
Nope, just no call.
go. No.
We received a letter from the South Dakota Department of Transportation, expressing their gratitude and appreciation for Brendan Hendrickson, the Custer County Airport Manager.
Did you read that letter? Let's
Can I
read
read
that. Yes, it's a good letter. I gotta give, Brenda's not here. I'd have to give him kudos on this one. So,
The SDDOT Office of
Aeronautic.
Aeronautic, yeah, would like to express our sincere appreciation for Brendan Hendrickson, Airport Manager of Custer County. On April 8th, Mr. Hendrickson delivered an excellent and informative presentation at the South Dakota Airports Conference in here. His discussion of the airport's manager's role in customer service, airport operations, and building community trust offered valuable insight for new and experienced airport managers, airport sponsors, and engineering consultants in attendance. The topics Brendan covered clearly demonstrate the high standards upheld at the Custer Airport and highlight the outstanding first impression it provides to pilots and airport users.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one, the other letter is from, it's not signed, but it says, to every county public servant, thank you for assisting the community day in and out. Every department is a pillar in our local government. You all keep the wheels greased and turning. It is no easy task, but rest assured, while you all are, where you are all working away, everything you do for the public interest is deeply appreciated. We are recognized by the world for our parks and hospitality, and I am proud. Custer County is a beautiful place to be, and I know you all work very hard to make it that way. So on this administration professional day, as a citizen of Custer, I wanted to thank you for your service.
Thank you. Try to frame that one.
You left that pretty well, huh?
Meeting schedule. Any meetings coming up?
1 o'clock today. Hills, 1 o'clock. Then I have on May 4th, the opt-out fire advisory board meeting. Terry Morgan and myself will be going to conference on the 6th and 7th. The Black Hills Association meeting it's hosted Custer's.
May 8th this year.
May
It's gonna be
8th
down
here.
at the barrel room at the Rushmore Brewery, so.
And,
Looks like a taco bar.
oh, taco bar.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Mock election is the 19th
26th is
and the
Argyle.
26th.
Fire,
That's on
fire
Sunday.
opt-out, that, we need to make sure that's posted. 26th, 5:30, Argyle Fire Department with fire opt-out. And thrown on there.
Oh, that's right. I saw that.
Leanne said the candidate forum.
May 5th.
Oh, yeah, Republicans.
Yeah, you're gonna have that.
Good.
I guess it's, yeah. I'll put it in.
So, yeah, it's a lot going on.
Meeting reports, Greg.
Been doing a lot, I just can't remember what the hell I've been doing. A lot of meetings.
This fire advisory board since their last meeting, went to that conservation board meeting, senior center meeting, the garbage board, Ed Moss, and YMCA.
Okay. I've been going to a lot of meetings. First with the fair board. We're moving forward on a lot of projects. Trying to get it done before the fair. The fire advisory board meetings. Let's see.
I have a fire advisory meeting, of course, went to search and rescue, went to a department head meeting for a little bit, Custer City Council, and just a lot of phone calls and talks.
Planning meeting, we had a meeting with the highway and the Forest Service the other day that I think went pretty good. Started to talk on Schedule A stuff, so.
Do we have anything scheduled to discuss with the city on the sheriff's department?
I recently had a conversation with the mayor, we're trying to put a small meeting together. To see if anything we worked out. So.
I think as a county, we're liable for a lot of stuff because of what the city is doing. And I think it should be a priority to get this thing.
Exactly.
I think the city of Custer has stuck their neck out a long ways. If something occurs, they're going to be sued. And I might instigate the lawsuit because they're liable. And, I just think it needs to be done, and it needs to be done.
Yep, like I said, I talked to the mayor, we're talking about either this week or next week having a small meeting, but we'll have some to discuss on it too, so.
Okay. Anything else needs to be covered?
Executive session.
I'm going to go into another executive session.
I see that.
Of course.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know if you expected it to be.
I was in here.